Is Group 2 ready? Start with number 1.
Okay, so in the hierarchy of accounting standards, which of the following is the least to be followed in the preparation of financial statement if a specific accounting standard is absent? For our group, sir, we decided that letter D should be the answer.
Sorry, is that Bravo or Delta?
Delta, sir. D.
Final answer?
Yes, sir.
Number 1 is not Delta, class. Although you would have easily arrived at the conclusion, class, that D is not the correct answer if we have discussed PAS 1. In PAS 1, class, PAS 1 meaning Philippine Accounting Standards number 1. In PAS 1, class, you are introduced to what constitutes your standards. And your standards class includes the interpretations committee. I hope you did not choose letter D just because it says nga it's from the Philippines, class. Please do not discriminate those coming from the Philippines. Okay? In our study class, those items issued by the Philippines would be given priority because it is what will govern us. So I hope you did not choose letter D just because it is from the Philippines, class. The answer here would be alpha, class. It's understandable that you would think letter A is correct because it is given by a standard setting body. But please take note, class, letter A tells you it is a pronouncement issued by another standard setting body. A standard setting body that does not have any jurisdiction or authority in the Philippines. Do you get the point? Comparing letter A and letter D, class, letter D has more authority because it applies specifically in the Philippines. But for letter A, if it's a standard setting body that does not have any jurisdiction or authority in the Philippines, then we do not have to follow those pronouncements. Is that clear? Very important ang jurisdiction, class. It does not matter how respected that standard setting body is. If it does not have authority in the Philippines, then its pronouncements will not have any power in the Philippines. So the answer in number 1 is alpha, class.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So number 3, which of the following is not a primary user? Letter B, sir. Ang atong primary users are existing and potential investors, lenders, and other creditors, man, sir. So mo nang answer is letter B.
Okay, so that's correct. Answer for number 3 would be bravo, class. Before you even graduate, class, I'm telling you, you will encounter this specific question at least 50 times. 50. You will be asked repeatedly who the primary users are. And I again cannot emphasize that enough. Existing and potential investors, creditors, and lenders, class. Okay, as I've mentioned earlier in the true or false discussion, management is not part of our primary users. Let's have number 5.
Number 5, which of these information is not provided by the general purpose financial report? So, letter D, sir. Because referring to question number 4, the financial report cannot provide all the necessary information to satisfy the needs of the primary users. And the information provided in the financial report are information on changes in economic resources and claims, information on claims against the reporting entity or the liability, information on economic resources or assets, and information on the company and industry outlook is already beyond the scope of the information that will be provided in the financial reports.
Okay, so that's correct. The focus, class, would be the reporting entity only. Class, if you will be asked who has the primary responsibility of preparing your financial reports, your answer would be the management. And if you're the management, class, you only have idea on the assets and the liabilities and the equity on the entity that you are involved with. You cannot make a report representing every player in the industry, class. Okay, your resources, your records are limited to your own reporting entity. Financial reports are limited to the assets, liabilities, and equity of the reporting entity, class. We cannot expect every company to have an information for the rest of the players in the industry. So that's why the answer number 5 is Delta. Asking companies to prepare Delta class would be asking for too much. It is no longer worth the effort of the management class. Let's have number 7.
Which financial information will help the primary users understand the return of the economic resources? Our answer, sir, is letter C.
Read the choice, please.
Information about the changes in economic resources and claims resulting from financial performance.
Okay, so letter C is correct. So again, the question is, which financial information will help the primary users understand the return of the economic resources? If you're talking about return class, you're talking about performance. We're talking about income. We're talking about the profit class. Okay, so I hope you've retained from the discussion class that there are two possible sources of changes in the resources and claims. Number 1, operations or performance. Number 2, transactions with the owners. Of course, assets and liabilities will change if an owner makes an investment, an owner makes a withdrawal. Be information about the changes in economic resources and claims not resulting from financial performance. Again, this is what I mentioned earlier. This does not tell us about the return on our investment. Letter B would be more on the return of the investment. I hope the difference between return on investment and return of investment was noticed by you in one of the discussions class. There's a difference between return on and return of. So if we're talking about return of, we're talking about profit or income. So the best answer is letter C. Number 9.
Number 9, sir, is which of the following is correct? Our answer is Delta, which is fundamental, is relate to the content or substance of financial information, and enhancing relate to the presentation or form of financial information.
So that's correct. Number 9 is Delta.
Number 11, sir, which of the following is incorrect on the concept of materiality? Letter C, sir, the conceptual framework and the standard specifies a uniform quantitative threshold for materiality.
Okay. So that's correct. 11 class is Charlie. Class, letter C is a false statement. But why is that our answer, class? Because number 11 is looking for an incorrect statement. Very important, class, that you will always read the questions correctly. Okay, number 11 is asking for the statement that is incorrect. There are so many students, class, that are very studious, that are very diligent in reading, and of course can easily recall the concepts that they studied, class, but some of them are very careless, class. They just immediately read the choices and look for the true statement. Always be careful, class, if the task is to look for the false statement or to look for the true statement. Let's have number 13.
The qualitative characteristic is unique in the sense that it necessarily requires at least 2 items. Our answer, sir, is alpha, comparability.
Yeah.
Comparability is the qualitative characteristics that enables users to identify and understand similarities in and differences among items. So, in comparing and contrasting, sir, it is only possible when there is 2 items. So therefore, comparability requires at least 2 items.
Okay, so that's correct. Let's have number 15.
What is the most pervasive constraint on the entity's ability to provide useful financial information? Our answer, sir, is letter C, cost of obtaining information.
Okay, that's correct. I hope you can recall the cost-benefit consideration, class. We are only willing to produce information because we expect that we will benefit from the information that we'll provide to our financial statement users. Our thinking is we prepare financial reports because this would help convince potential investors and creditors. There has to be cost and benefit analysis. And if we'll try to relate this to the previous questions, class, as to the minimum composition of our financial reports, the one involving information about the other companies in the industry, class. Again, the cost to produce those information will no longer be worth the potential benefit that we will get, class. So that's why we will never attempt to produce financial reports for everyone in the industry. Okay, there is always the cost constraint, class. So number 15 would be Charlie. Let's have number 16 also.
So number 16, this is the only assumption that is explicit in the conceptual framework. And A, going concern assumption, is our answer, sir, because out of the 4 choices, it is the only assumption explicitly stated in the ebook under conceptual framework.
Yeah, that's correct. It's only the going concern assumption. As what I've told you, you will also keep on encountering the going concern assumption. But I hope, class, in your discussion in accounting, in your basic accounting in senior high school, you have also encountered these other assumptions, class. The monetary unit assumption, the accounting entity or the reporting entity assumption, and the periodicity or the time period assumption. All of them are involved in the evolution of accounting, but only the going concern assumption is explicitly stated in the framework.